The diplomatic blunder. The Larillian royal cruiser loomed outside the viewport like a silver dagger against the blackness of space. Naomi Reed pressed her sweaty palms against her regulation navy skirt, painfully aware that she was about to make first contact with the most powerful monarch in the Andromeda spiral. Her reflection in the shuttle window looked as terrified as she felt, dark circles under her eyes, honey blonde hair hastily pulled into a bun that was already coming undone. "This wasn't supposed to be my job," she muttered for the 15th time. Commander Jackson, seated across from her, didn't bother looking up from his tablet. Ambassador Rossi contracted Saturnian flu. Deputy Ambassador Hernandez is stuck in a gravity well. You're the only diplomatic staff member who speaks intermediate Larillian. So yes, Reed, today it is your job. The shuttle docked with a gentle shudder. Naomi swallowed hard, feeling the weight of Earth's future pressing down on her shoulders. Relations with the Larillian Empire had been strained since humanity's clumsy entrance onto the galactic stage 30 years ago. This meeting was meant to finalize trade agreements that had taken a decade to negotiate. "Remember," Jackson said, finally looking at her, "Queen Vexera values directness. Don't ramble. Don't joke. Just deliver the treaty amendments, answer her questions, and leave. The less time you spend in her presence, the less likely you are to cause an interstellar incident." "Comforting," Naomi replied. The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor that seemed to be carved from living crystal. 2 Larillian guards waited, tall, humanoid figures with iridescent scaled skin and eyes that reflected like mirrors. Their ceremonial armor hummed faintly, resonating with the ship around them. Naomi stepped forward on legs that felt like jelly. "Greetings. I am Junior Diplomatic Officer Naomi Reed of Earth, representing Ambassador Rossi." The guards didn't respond verbally, but their eyes flickered with what might have been surprise. They turned in unison and began walking, clearly expecting her to follow. The throne room of the Larillian Queen was not what Naomi expected. Rather than the ostentatious display of wealth she'd anticipated, the chamber was a wonder of minimalist beauty. The walls shimmered with what appeared to be flowing water caught in crystal, casting rippling patterns of light across the polished floor. Suspended above a simple dais was a sphere of constantly shifting light, not a throne, but a field of energy within which Queen Vexera floated. Naomi nearly tripped over her own feet at the sight of her. The Larillian Queen was breathtaking. Her scaled skin shimmered between indigo and violet, trailing into delicate fin-like structures along her arms and spine. Her face was almost human in structure but with features sharpened to elegant perfection. Most arresting were her eyes, vertical pupils within irises that shone like galaxies, complete with swirling nebulae of color. "You are not Ambassador Rossi," Vexera said, her voice melodic yet edged with steel. She descended from her energy field, touching down gracefully on the dais. Standing, she was easily 7 feet tall. Naomi bowed deeply. "Ambassador Rossi sends his deepest regrets, Your Majesty. He has contracted an illness and cannot attend. I am Junior Diplomatic Officer Naomi Reed." "Junior," Vexera repeated, the word sounding like an accusation. "Your people send a novice to finalize terms that will bind our civilizations for centuries." "I am fully briefed on all aspects of the treaty, Your Majesty," Naomi responded, trying to keep her voice steady. "And I speak your language, if imperfectly." The Queen's head tilted slightly. She descended the steps of the dais until she stood directly before Naomi. Up close, Naomi could see that what appeared to be scales were actually thousands of tiny crystalline structures embedded in her skin, catching and refracting light like living opals. "Then speak it," Vexera commanded, switching to Larillian. Naomi's mind whirred into action. Larillian was a complex language with 17 tenses and tonal shifts that could completely change a sentence's meaning. She'd spent years studying it, fascinated by its mathematical precision. "I bring the revised terms as agreed upon by your Council of Elders and our diplomatic corps," Naomi replied in careful Larillian, retrieving a crystalline data chip from her pocket. The amendments concern primarily the exchange rates for rare earth minerals and access rights to the Proxima Centauri wormhole. Vexera took the chip, her long fingers brushing against Naomi's palm. A tingling sensation shot up Naomi's arm, making her gasp softly. "You speak our language well for a human," the Queen observed, her tone marginally warmer. "Most of your kind cannot manage our tonal ranges." "I was born with perfect pitch," Naomi explained, then immediately regretted it. Commander Jackson had specifically told her not to mention anything personal. But Vexera seemed intrigued. "A musical talent. We value such gifts among our people." The Queen turned and inserted the data chip into a floating console. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing complex diagrams and lines of Lyrilian text. She studied them in silence while Naomi stood nervously, trying not to stare at how the light played across the Queen's elegant profile. "These terms are not what we discussed with Ambassador Rossi," Vexera finally said, her voice cooling. "The uranium exchange rate has been altered." Naomi felt a cold knot form in her stomach. "That's not possible. I reviewed the documents myself before departure." "Are you suggesting I am mistaken?" Vexera's fins flared slightly, a warning sign Naomi recognized from her cultural briefings. "No, Your Majesty. But there must be an explanation." Naomi stepped forward, forgetting protocol in her urgency. "May I see?" Without waiting for permission, she moved beside the Queen to view the holographic display. Sure enough, the numbers were different from what she'd reviewed. Someone had tampered with the treaty, perhaps someone who wanted relations with the Lyrilians to fail. "This is sabotage," Naomi said, horror dawning. "These aren't the terms Ambassador Rossi approved." "A convenient excuse," Vexera replied, but there was a note of curiosity in her voice. "I can prove it." Naomi fumbled with her tablet, pulling up her personal backup of the treaty that she'd made, against regulations, because she'd been so nervous about getting something wrong. "Here. These are the original terms." Vexera compared the documents, her expression unreadable. "If what you say is true, someone on your diplomatic team is working against Earth's interests. Or someone is trying to drive a wedge between our species," Naomi suggested, then realized she was theorizing policy with one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. "I apologize for speaking out of turn, Your Majesty." Vexera studied her with those galaxy eyes. "You are unexpected, Naomi Reed." The way the Queen said her name sent another shiver through Naomi's body. "I try to be thorough, Your Majesty. Earth cannot afford misunderstandings with your empire." "Indeed. Thoroughness is a quality I respect." Vexera circled Naomi slowly. "Yet I sense there is more to your dedication than simple duty. You have personal interest in my people." Naomi felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I've studied Lyrilian culture extensively. Your civilization's achievements in quantum harmonics alone are worth a lifetime of study." "You admire us," Vexera stated, stopping directly in front of Naomi again. "I do," Naomi admitted, finding herself lost in those cosmic eyes. "Your people's integration of art and science, the way you've created technology that works in harmony with natural systems instead of against them. I've dreamed of visiting Lyrilia since I was a child." Something in Vexera's expression shifted. "Dreams are powerful things in our culture. They can forge connections across vast distances." The air between them seemed to hum with unspoken possibility. Naomi felt lightheaded, caught in some strange gravity. "I should contact Earth immediately about the treaty discrepancy," she said, trying to regain her professional footing. "Yes," Vexera agreed. "But first, tell me why you really volunteered for this mission when no one else would come." Naomi blinked in surprise. "How did you know I volunteered?" "Your eagerness betrays you. No reluctant substitute would have made a private backup of treaty terms." Trapped by the Queen's perceptiveness, Naomi's carefully constructed professional facade began to crumble. "I've followed your work for years," she confessed. "Your writings on interspatial harmony, your diplomatic innovations. I admire you tremendously. When Ambassador Rossi fell ill, I practically begged for this assignment. Vexura's eyes widened slightly, genuine surprise crossing her features. And then, as if possessed by some temporary madness, Naomi heard herself say the unthinkable, I love your mind, your vision. I love everything you stand for. The moment the words left her mouth, Naomi wanted to dissolve into the floor. She'd essentially just declared love to the alien queen. The diplomatic incident Commander Jackson had feared had just spectacularly materialized. The silence that followed seemed eternal. Naomi braced herself for guards, for banishment, for the collapse of Earth-Lyrilian relations. Instead, Queen Vexura's face transformed with a smile so radiant it seemed to illuminate the room from within. It wasn't a diplomatic smile or a polite acknowledgement. It was genuine, surprised joy. Finally, she whispered, the word carrying an unmistakable tone of relief. Stars aligned. Finally. Naomi repeated, certain she'd misheard. Queen Vexura's smile remained, transforming her regal features into something warmer, almost vulnerable. Do you know how rare it is, Naomi Reed, to encounter genuine admiration rather than fear or calculation? The queen turned away, waving her hand to dismiss the holographic displays. The room's lighting shifted subtly, becoming warmer. For centuries, I have led my people through diplomatic labyrinths, negotiating with species who see us only as resources or threats, Vexura continued. Then humanity stumbled onto the galactic stage, clumsy, curious, contradictory. Your people fear us, yet you personally sought this meeting. Naomi's diplomatic training was screaming at her to backpedal, to clarify her statement as professional admiration only. But something in Vexura's tone stopped her. I meant what I said, Naomi admitted. Though I should have expressed it more professionally. Vexura laughed, a sound like crystal chimes in a gentle breeze. Professional admiration does not make one's heart rate accelerate as yours did when you entered this chamber. You can hear my heartbeat? Naomi asked, mortified. Lyrilians perceive biorhythms. It is how we judge sincerity. The queen stepped closer. Your rhythms have been intriguing from the moment you arrived. Before Naomi could process this revelation, an alarm sounded, 3 sharp tones followed by a pulsing glow from the walls. Vexura's demeanor shifted instantly back to regal authority. We are being hailed with an emergency signal. A holographic projection materialized in the center of the room, a Lyrilian officer whose scales were dulled with stress. My queen, forgive the interruption. We've detected void harvesters approaching the Arcturus gateway. They've already consumed 2 monitoring stations. Naomi felt her blood run cold. Void harvesters were semi-sentient space anomalies that fed on energy and matter, leaving nothing but empty space in their wake. They were the cosmic equivalent of natural disasters, unpredictable and devastating. Set course immediately, Vexura commanded. Alert the fleet. The officer bowed and the projection vanished. The queen turned to Naomi, her expression grave. It seems our diplomatic discussions must be postponed. You will be escorted back to your shuttle. Wait, Naomi said, surprising herself with her boldness. I have specialized training in anomalous phenomena. Earth has been developing countermeasures against void harvesters since they nearly consumed our Jupiter station last year. Vexura studied her with renewed interest. You are not merely a diplomat, then. Before joining the diplomatic corps, I worked in theoretical physics at the Lunar Academy, Naomi explained. My team developed a resonance disruptor that can destabilize a harvester's consumption pattern. A moment of calculation passed across the queen's features. Very well. You will accompany me to the bridge. If your expertise proves valuable, Earth may find itself with a more favorable treaty than anticipated. 20 minutes later, Naomi stood on the bridge of the royal cruiser, surrounded by Lyrilian officers who regarded her with varying degrees of skepticism. The view screen showed the massive swirling darkness of a void harvester approaching the Arcturus gateway, a crucial hyperspace junction that connected dozens of civilized systems. The harvester is consuming the gateway's anchor points, reported a science officer. Structural integrity at 63% and declining. Vexera stood at the command position, her posture perfect despite the crisis. Options. Traditional energy weapons are ineffective against its current phase, another officer said. Gravitational anchors could stabilize the gateway temporarily, but not repel the harvester. Naomi studied the harvester's pattern on the display. Its consumption sequence is predictable, she observed. There's a rhythm to it, like a heartbeat. The Queen glanced at her. Explain. Void harvesters consume in pulses. If we can introduce a counter-rhythm during its rest phase, we might disrupt its integrity. Naomi pointed to the screen. Look, 3231. It's following a mathematical sequence. Vexera's eyes narrowed. You suggest we use harmonics? Precisely. Your ship's quantum resonators could be modified to emit an inverse pattern. Naomi turned to the Queen. Lyrillian technology is based on harmonic principles. You understand resonance better than any species in the known galaxy. The science officer looked skeptical. Such a modification would require recalibrating our core systems. The risk is necessary, Vexera interrupted. Begin recalibrations immediately. What followed was a frantic collaboration between Naomi and the Lyrillian engineers. Despite the language barrier and cultural differences, they found common ground in the universal language of mathematics and physics. Naomi's theoretical knowledge combined with Lyrillian technological prowess created something neither could have achieved alone. As they worked, Naomi became increasingly aware of Vexera's presence nearby, observing, occasionally offering insights that bridged gaps in understanding. Their eyes met frequently across the bridge, each glance carrying unspoken questions. When the moment of truth arrived, the harvester had consumed nearly 80% of the gateway. The modified resonators hummed to life, sending precisely calibrated wave patterns into the void. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then the harvester's swirling motion faltered. Its edges began to lose definition, the dark mass trembling as if in pain. It's working, Naomi breathed. Increase amplitude, Vexera ordered. The ship vibrated with the force of the resonators operating beyond their design parameters. On the view screen, the harvester's form began to collapse in on itself, its consumption pattern disrupted beyond recovery. With a final pulse that rocked the ship, the harvester imploded into nothingness, leaving behind only scattered debris from its previous meals. The bridge erupted in the Lyrillian equivalent of cheers, a harmonic humming that made the air itself vibrate with emotion. Naomi felt dizzy with relief and accomplishment. You have helped save countless lives today, Vexera said, approaching Naomi as the crew returned to their duties. And proven that our species can achieve remarkable things when working together. It was your technology that made it possible, Naomi replied. I just provided a theoretical framework. Do not diminish your contribution. The Queen's voice softened. Earlier, you spoke of love. I confess I have been fascinated by humanity's concept of it. Your species attaches such importance to an emotional state. Naomi felt her cheeks warm again. I should apologize for my unprofessional. No, Vexera interrupted. What intrigues me is that your declaration came without calculation. Without agenda. In my position, such honesty is precious. The Queen stepped closer, lowering her voice. For years, I have studied Earth's cultures from afar. Your art, your music, your irrational but beautiful pursuit of connection across differences. I have waited for someone who might see beyond the crown I wear. Naomi's heart raced. Are you saying? I am saying, Vexera continued, that perhaps the universe has strange ways of bringing together those who should meet. I have lived 3 of your lifetimes, Naomi read, and learned to recognize when the cosmic patterns align. With delicate precision, the Queen reached out and touched Naomi's cheek with fingertips that felt like warm silk. Among my people, a connection of minds is considered more intimate than any physical bond. When you spoke of admiring my mind, my vision, it resonated in ways I cannot fully explain. Naomi found herself speechless, caught in a moment that transcended diplomatic protocol and cultural differences. What happens now? She finally asked. Now, Vexera said, her galaxy eyes twinkling, we renegotiate that treaty. With you as Earth's permanent liaison to my court. That's not exactly standard diplomatic procedure. Is anything about this situation standard? The Queen's smile returned, radiant and genuine. I think we have established that the standard approach is insufficient for the relationship between our worlds. Relationship, Naomi repeated, testing the word. Yes. Between our worlds, and perhaps between us. Vexera gestured to the view screen, now showing the stars beyond. The universe is vast, Naomi read. Full of terrors like the void harvesters, but also full of possibilities we have barely begun to imagine. The ship's course was already being set back to continue their diplomatic mission. But something had fundamentally changed, a shift as profound as the harmonic disruption they had unleashed on the harvester. As they stood together on the bridge, an unlikely pair united by a diplomatic accident and cosmic chance, Naomi realized that her careless confession had somehow opened a door neither had known existed. I accept the position, she said, straightening her posture to match the Queen's regal bearing. Though Commander Jackson will probably have a coronary. Your Commander Jackson will adapt, Vexera said confidently. Just as we all must when the unexpected reshapes our understanding of what is possible. The Queen extended her hand, a gesture she had adopted from human custom. To new beginnings, Naomi read. And to the power of words spoken in truth, even when they slip out at the most inconvenient moment. As Naomi took her hand, she felt the strange tingling sensation again, but this time, she understood it wasn't just biological differences. It was possibility. Connection. Perhaps even the beginning of something the universe hadn't seen before. To new beginnings, she agreed, and to waiting for the right moment, even when you don't realize that's what you're doing. Vexera's smile deepened, and in that moment, Naomi understood exactly what the Queen had meant by, finally.